Meanwhile, Bill, there are concerns now that the shutdown will have a much more serious impact, even on our national security. Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, earlier making the case that this shutdown could be compromising Americans' safety. Listen.
I will tell you as to impacts, I've been in the intelligence business for about 50 years. I've never seen anything like this. From my view, I think this, on top of the sequestration cuts that we're already taking, that this seriously damages our ability to protect the safety and security of this nation and its citizens.
Oklahoma Congressman James Lankford joins us live now. Hello, Congressman.
Hey, how are you today?
Doing well. You heard James Clapper there, that this seriously damages our ability to protect the safety and security of the nation and of our citizens. Are you in Congress jeopardizing our national security with this shutdown?
No, the president has full authority right now with the government slowdown that's already occurring to be able to put essential individuals still at work. So if they're considered essential for security, for safety, all those things, they're still at work. So, for instance, around the Capitol, all the security is still here because they're considered essential for that.
Okay.
Same thing in the intelligence community.
But James Clapper,
the administration's kind of moving things around, I would say, on that, trying to make that statement.
Well, here's what James Clapper said today. He said that 70% of the intelligence community is being furloughed. 70%. That sounds like a serious number. Are you confident that there's no national security issue that's being threatened with that number being furloughed?
I'm not, but here's the decision. The administration makes the decision on who's essential personnel and non-essential personnel. And if they've said into the intelligence community, 70% of the intelligence community is non-essential, they made that decision. This goes back to what we're fighting with right now. The House and the Senate and the President all signed off on full funding for our military and all the civilians that serve with our military, all of the civilians that serve with our military. But yet the administration came back the day after it was passed and said, you know what, half the civilians, we're going to consider them non-essential, they're all furloughed. Well, that's not what the law says. The administration's moving some of this around, trying to make it look more critical than it actually is. If they're essential personnel, they should be on the job. If they're non-essential personnel, yes, they're going through a furlough for a moment.
Okay,
so I'm a little confused why they consider 70% non-essential.
Sure, and just so that we understand, you're saying that the Director of National Security, and also, sorry, the Director of the NSA and James Clapper are trying to, what, scare Americans by saying that this affects national security?
I have no idea. I do know they have authority. I couldn't begin to go into their motives, but I do know they have authority to declare essential and non-essential. If they've declared 70% of the people in their agency non-essential, I'm a little surprised by that in our intelligence community. But right now, they already have the authority to do that. But this is the kind of stuff that goes on in the earliest days of this. We right now have more guards standing around an open-air World War II memorial that's typically open 24 hours a day with 1 or 2 guards. We have more guards there now than what we had standing around our embassies in Benghazi. This makes no sense on how they're trying to do all this. And so I would just say declare them essential and put them to work.
Very quickly, Congressman, you know, last time the government had this partial shutdown, there was no such thing as social media. Now there is, for better or for worse. I don't know if you've read any of these Dear Congress letters that are coming in from the public. We have a couple of tweets to show you. Obviously, people can do it much more quickly now in 140 characters. They don't even have to go to the mailbox. Here's one. Dear Congress, you've made a mockery of the United States government. Kids on the playground know more about conflict resolution. Thanks. What do you say to that? Are you doing the best conflict resolution you can in Congress, or do kids on the playground know better?
No, it's pretty remarkable. Actually, the teacher of the playground knows better how to be able to resolve all the conflicts. It's a basic thing. She grabs 2 kids that are fighting, sits them down together, and they work it out and talk it out. That's not what's occurring right now. The House put 3 days ago, put a proposal out there to say, let's sit down with the Senate. This is how we've resolved differences since the 1700s. That the House and the Senate disagree on something, we have what's called a conference committee. We sit down with a group that's selected by each, negotiate it, get it done, and pass it. We've already asked for that. For some strange reason, the Senate says, no, we won't negotiate. Now, the president has said, let's meet later today. Oh, but by the way, I'm not meeting to negotiate. I'm meeting to tell you to vote our way. That just makes no sense to me. So let's sit down and work this out. We can do this.
Okay. Congressman James Lankford, thanks for making time for us. We'll see what happens today.
Bet.